Hello, I am Stephanie and today I am showing you how to sculpt a miniature bed. So the miniature bed I made for a bigger miniature scene that is a student room. You will see pictures of it at the end of this video. And the bed is what gave the scale of the entire scene, so it's not a common scale. I simply decided what size the bed should be to look good, and then decided this would be the scale of the scene. So the scale I went with is 1:33. The bed itself is 1 centimeter by 3 centimeters. And what I did is to sculpt 2 white mattresses. So here I'm sculpting 1 mattress. So again, it is 1 centimeter by 3, and the thickness, I don't recall exactly, probably something along 5 or 6 millimeters. And I am simply sculpting the lines of the sheets onto the mattress. So I went with the white mattress simply because I wanted to have a very colorful bed cover and pillows. However, you can choose whatever color you like if you ever want to recreate something like that. Sculpting beds and fabric is actually rather easy, especially if it's not too big, as you simply draw lines with a metal sculpting tool and round everything up. So obviously it is very helpful to use reference pictures for these, otherwise you're probably not going to go very far. Unless you're sculpting beds every day in, day out, then yeah, you have a good understanding of how beds and fabrics and mattresses look like. But if you are not in that case, then use reference pictures. Pinterest is chock full of awfully cute student rooms with nice tiny beds, normal sized beds, and colorful covers. So this is where I sought for inspiration. So I made a second mattress to put underneath and then simply put the other one on top. Don't forget to make the sides, as the sides is what you're really going to see. And then, well, simply bake. After baking and cooling off, add some liquid clay and then add the first cover or sheet or whatever that is. Again, I went with white, so I simply cut a square of white clay that went through a pasta maker, but you can use a rolling pin. And then I folded it so it looked not too neat. And again, I added tons of lines to make it look like fabric. I cut off the excess of clay as well, especially since this is the first cover, and I'm going to cover it again with another blanket. So obviously I didn't want to have too much clay because it's thick, and if you have too much thickness, then it doesn't look as realistic. You just want to make sure to round everything nicely up so you don't have any hard edges, because fabric covers, beds, pillows, etc., they don't have hard edges, so you really need to ensure that every edge is smooth and rounded up, and just that you have enough lines that it looks like a real bed. And here finally I'm adding the last cover, which is a nice mint color. Yeah, I'm doing it in a way that you can see all covers. So Pinterest is very helpful to help you showcase how the covers should be, so it looks cute and nice and inviting. And again, adding tons of lines. So the end result of this is going to be a student room, a tiny student room. However, what I really want to do is to make it an abandoned place. So I really want to put some dust and some mushrooms and some mold and yeah, make it just destroy it somehow. I really want to do that. I think I'm probably a little bit tired of the beautiful world of Pinterest at times, so I wanted to work on decay again. I find decay very interesting, and lost places or abandoned places quite fascinating as well. I like to imagine what the world would be if suddenly humans were not there, and I really like also to see what time does to buildings and objects. So yeah. And here I'm making the pillows, so I made a bunch of different pillows just to make it interesting. I choose to paint them instead of making a pattern out of clay, simply because I thought it was just much easier. So at the end of the video I'm adding some acrylic paint to make them a little bit more interesting. And after baking I used some acrylic paint to add some details. So what I did first was add some yellow dots onto the first white blanket, just to make it more interesting, because right now it was too much white on white, which I found a bit boring. And I ended up adding those yellow dots on another pillow as well. I drew another red pattern on the white pillow that is going to be on the floor, just to make it more interesting. I didn't try to make it too perfect, as I kind of wanted a look that was very organic. Also used some tweezers just because it was too fiddly to hold into my hands. So there's that. And for that one, of course, you need a brush that it has a very fine tip. This is quite important as well. I added some paint, some darker shade of paint in all ridges, just to make them stand out a little bit more. So for the red one I mixed red and a little bit of black. For the white I mixed white with a little bit of black, etc. Just to add the details everywhere and to make it look, just to make them more visible. I know there's a technique where you basically put very thin black paint over everything and then brush it off, but I don't really like that technique because I think it's just too harsh on very small sculpture, and it makes everything look a little bit too dark, which was not what I wanted to do here. So I prefer to really paint in every little ridge with the appropriate paint. Just be sure to use a brush with a very fine tip so you can apply the paint exactly where you want, and don't put paint all over the bed. If you put too much paint, you can always scratch it off with a blade. Then I added some black paint just to give more intensity to some ridges, especially on the mint cover. The white I didn't really rework, and at the very end I brushed everything with some very little amount of white acrylic paint, just to remind of the light that hits the covers. And this is it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you really liked this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. You might also be interested in checking out that other video about the tiny desk and the tiny chair, and stay tuned to see the video of the whole room and how I made that. Bye!